We can think about it for 5 minutes and probably come up with a better idea. Bad advice, mac and cheese director's corner, next. When your weekend's all spin up and you got Monday coming down the pipe, sometimes all you need is a little help to get you through to Monday. Mac and cheese movies, where we believe in comfort food and comfort movies. Hello, welcome to Mac and Cheese Movies. I'm Scotty Coffidge. And we have a special guest for today, writer, director, actor, editor, Adam William Ward. Hey, how's it going, Adam?
Going good. Thank you so much. Going great. Happy to be here.
You just you're like a five-tool player with all this
I
stuff that you do.
I wear a lot of hats. I do everything that I can. So, I do whatever I have to do, really, ultimately. I mean, like, I don't love doing all the jobs, but, and don't get me wrong, I don't do all the jobs. I get some really talented people around me. So don't think that, but where the gaps are, I have to fill them.
That's
So
what you got to do. Yeah. We had you on Mac and Cheese Movies back when Wally Got Wasted came out, and that was in 2019. And I remember because I smoked a brisket for Wally Got Wasted, and I didn't take to it like as long, like the 12, 14-hour smoke, because that was like when Avengers Endgame came out, and I wanted to go see that. So the brisket was not as good in your honor as it really needed to be, but we got it done.
well, I'm happy the brisket was cooked enough that you didn't get sick, and I'm happy you didn't miss end games. You got to get that in.
It's a double win. Yeah. And I was thinking, your latest project is the only thing you've been working on, but I was like looking online and you have had so many projects in the last like 5 years. What have you been up to since 2019, since Endgame?
I mean, yeah, I've probably been involved in other projects for sure. But really the show is like my main thing for sure. Bad Advice is a new TV series I made. I made a whole first season. Most people told me I was crazy to go make a first season of a whole show. We have 7 episodes of the show that we made, and each episode is about 30 to 40 minutes long. So it's like 4 hours and something of content. And we shot it mostly during the pandemic, which wasn't easy, but it was easier in ways, to be honest with you. It was a lot easier to go into a restaurant and go, hey, can we take over? Because they weren't having people sit down. They were only doing takeout. So it was like, I got really lucky in that way. But basically we started shooting in 2021. And so a lot of it was writing. So I did a whole other show. I don't know if you know, Three Guys on a Couch I had made back in 2011. I made a pilot episode of that. And I really wanted to make more episodes of that. And so I wrote episode 2 and episode 3 of that. And then the lead actors weren't really that interested in doing it. And so I sat on it for a long time, kept bringing it back up. It didn't seem like they wanted to do it. So eventually I was like, well, let me go make a new show and use these scripts that I had written. So I had to write more scripts though. So during the pandemic, nobody's doing anything. I'm like, the start of 2021, I had already been outlining and doing outlining is the hardest part of all this. I had a giant chalkboard and wrote down all these ideas of things that I wanted to incorporate in the episodes. And once 2021 started, day one, I started writing. And I would outline one day and I would write 10 pages a day. And I wrote basically the whole first season in like 15 days or something. It's insane.
Jeez.
And I didn't even do a rewrite. So if people are criticizing my writing, I'm sorry, but people seem to really like it. So I'm happy about that. So
You were you were
uh,
you were smoking at that time, 10 pages a day.
kind of insane. I never thought I could do it. I don't even consider myself a writer. For the people out there that don't consider themselves a writer. So like I always, honestly, in school, I was never great in English, all that stuff. I think I get story really well. And like Wally Got Wasted, our last movie, which is free on Tubi, everyone can check it out. I didn't even write that. Seth wrote that. I would coordinate with him, read it, tell him notes, and then he would go adjust the notes. And the original idea was mine, I guess, but it was all based off a script that he made, and then it kind of formed into Weekend at Bernie's meets Hangover. And so I didn't even write that. And so it was kind of like this was like, okay, am I a writer? I guess so. So I wrote this and I'm really, really proud of the structure of it. You know, we have 3 storylines to 4 storylines in every episode, and they all kind of tie in together. And very much in the sense of Seinfeld, where they hopefully connect at the end and it ends bad for everybody.
Yeah,
So
it does have like some Curb Your Enthusiasm vibes to it.
it
Um,
definitely does. Yeah. I mean, like my inspiration was Seinfeld and Curb,
mhm.
but with a little more sexiness to it because it's about guys trying to get laid. So
Yeah,
you know, but we have no nudity. We have a lot of sexual content, but no nudity and no cursing. Wally had a lot of cursing, so I kind of realized that affected how we certain locations we couldn't go with the film. So I decided on this one, look, I'll do no nudity and no cursing, and so that's what we did. There's occasionally cursing in the bloopers.
yeah.
At the end of every episode, we played bloopers with the credits, so there's a little bit, but yeah. So. Um, but yeah, I mean, that took, so we shot it. Your original question to go back to it was, what have I been up to? So this pretty much took all of 2021. I think we started shooting in March of 2021 and we were done principal photography in November of 2021. And I would basically, oh gosh, so I was producing and directing and starring, but I had no location scouting, scout person. I was just doing everything. But because of the pandemic, it kind of made sense. Like the smaller your crew, the more it makes sense. So I would literally be like, okay, I have to find this location. I have to find these actors. Let me do it. We would try to shoot at least 3 days a week. So on the 4 days that we were off, I was trying to find the locations and the actors for the following week. And it was just a full-time gig at that point, you
Yeah.
know. So uh yeah, and it's amazing because like certain locations I couldn't find, you know, like episode 2 takes place in a big house, like a mansion. And I was like, how am I going to lock down a mansion for like 7 days? Or it turned out, I think it turned into 9 days. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, you know, but I just got extremely lucky. You know, a lot of people say it's lightning in a bottle with the show because because I'm a public notary, somebody I did a notary for was like, you can shoot here, you can film here. And they were extremely nice. And they let me take over their house for 9 days and shoot for free in their mansion, you know, which is insane. But it happened, you know. They would go off on this end of the house and I would be over here and they just totally let me take over, like extreme kindness. And I'm just so very thankful for it.
That
So
just shows how good of a notary you are to be able to get that kind of love.
that's hilarious. Um, I'm just a very lucky person in general. My life is just, you know, extremely lucky. I'm very, very thankful for it, and it just seems like whenever I need something, it appears, you know. And I try to pay it forward as much as possible because the world seems to take care of me a lot. So,
Mhm.
um, but we shot 54 days. So yeah, so principal photography was March all the way to November, and then we had some reshoots all the way into March of probably the next year. But to shoot, gosh, it's kind of crazy because 54 days of shooting to shoot it in 8 9 months is really actually a decent pace for a crew of one person. Or you know,
Yeah.
like not one person. I'm not doing all the work, but for the to organize everything just for one person, I think I did pretty well. So
For scouting stuff, for the having the script, the directing, you're on the show. Like, I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
yeah, it was like I said, it was a full-time job. On the 4 days that we're not shooting, I'm just planning everything, you know. Uh and because we were doing it on such a budget, I was just planning everything and doing everything. And certain places we still had to, you know, like the crew had to wear a mask, you know what I mean? So I mean, it was definitely full COVID. Uh and with 100 locations, I mean, just finding the locations alone was like a full-time job, you know, and then finding the actors. We had about 100 actors in it. Finding them, I was running out of actor friends. I literally like, and I meet people now, and I'm like, hey, I'll put you in as an actor in my phone because I run out of actors occasionally. You know, I literally ran out of actors, uh, especially the really talented ones that I know. You know, you started going down to just, hey, can you say a line? There's people in it that aren't even actors, you know, and it was I have to do 50 takes because they have one line and it's
Was
not
Hollywood
right.
was Hollywood at a standstill at this point, like in like 2021?
It I think it was. Yeah, it was early 2021. If you remember, the pandemic really was completely shut down. Uh, I think they might have started doing stuff in March of 2021, but it was still very much like you got to have a vaccination card, you got to wear masks on. There was like tons of regulations and just crazy kind of stuff. I can't say I followed any of those, I'm sorry to say,
Okay.
but we did not have yet one person get sick with COVID the whole shoot. So
Great.
I can
That's great.
honestly say that not one person came on my set and got sick. So I got super lucky with that. I will say, so we did have to shut down because of COVID once. So the mansion that we ended up shooting in, she got sick with COVID. Before we had, so the first day we show up to shoot, I show up and she's a little under the weather, she said,
Oh,
but she's
yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah.
So I'm a little worried. The guy who plays Dallas, Ron, is 70 years old, so I wanted to make sure she didn't have COVID. We got an instant test, and I dropped it off at the door of her bedroom, and she took it, and she had COVID. So I had to shut down all those 9 days and reschedule it for later. So you ran into stuff like that. That's one of the reasons too. It was 8 or 9 months to finish the whole thing. So, but yeah, I'm like super, super proud of it. I don't think anybody else could have done all that with no help, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I can't say no help. I had a crew, a solid crew. David Lee was my cinematographer. Kevin, I don't want to say his last name wrong. I never say Kevin's last name, but Kevin was my sound guy with the sound boom. David Lee was my DP, and my actors were ride or die. I mean, it was a very small crew, and I had a few grips that were coming on, uh, and a few first ACs coming on, but it was very small, very small. So to compete with the stuff out there that has crews of, I was just on an independent film the other day. I had a crew of like 30 people standing around. And I can't help but think to myself, you're just wasting a lot of money. Like there's literally two people working and 28 people standing around. And I'm like, are they getting paid? Because if they're getting paid, you're wasting money,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just my point of view. But
This, this is the synopsis that I got from IMDb about the show. And there's two of them. I want to know if you did you write this one? This one, I really like this one. Three dim-witted know-it-all friends and their wacky landlord live in South Bay, Los Angeles, where they spend their days surfing, dating, and struggling to make money, all the while giving each other terrible guidance on how to succeed. When your circle of friends are this dumb, you don't need enemies.
that is exactly what I wrote. Yes. And that sums up the show. I mean, we're all idiots in the show, giving each other bad advice. It's a satire, So everything you think is wrong about society, these guys think generally. You know what I mean? They make every, wrong move you can make. I mean, that's what the show's about. And honestly, I thought we might get killed in today's society because we talk about everything under the sun in the show. I mean, we
Mhm.
talk about transgender, we talk about gay, we talk about racism, we talk about everything. And these guys are not bright. So, they're going to make every mistake in the book. So, I didn't know if we get killed for that. So, I mean, we'll see. We've had no bad press so far. So, uh, and people seem to really love it. And we had a premiere. It really wasn't a premiere. It was more of a cast and crew screening, but we had a lot of people there, probably about 300 some people. And people came up to me like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And so stuff like that makes me feel really good. I mean, that's why I do it. So I'm trying to provide comedy relief for people in their normal day lives. And if people don't like it, then I'm wasting my time. So the last thing I want to do is waste my time. So I'm thrilled to hear that people like it. I hope people love it. So, and hopefully it finds its audience. I think that's the hardest part about everything right now is that, bad advice is on Tubi. It should be on other platforms soon, but exclusively on Tubi right now. Um, and I just need people to watch it. I need people to stream it. I need those minutes to go up. I need to get up in that algorithm in Tubi and hopefully find an audience that isn't connected to me. And the only way that's going to happen is if it's in the top 10 or the top 100 comedies on there and that strangers end up watching it because I can only hit up my friends so many times. So I just really hope it finds an audience and people like it. And the comparisons are very much Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's cringe comedy, Seinfeld. It's a little bit on the Euphoria side when it comes to the sexiness of it. Um, But yeah, I think that is the hardest part is because there's so much content now that you could just disappear within the realm of these streaming platforms,
It's
you know?
like, it was so hard to get into like NBC or Fox back in the day, but there were only like these major networks. Now there's so much, and it's like hard to know kind of where to put your sales. You know what I mean?
Well, and we had Gersh representing the show for a while. The head of Gersh took on the show. He liked what he saw. He thought it was great. And he shopped it around. The sad part is all the streaming platforms, some even came back really positive and loved it. But they said, "Where's the names? Where's the movie stars?" And I'm like, if I had money, I could afford the movie stars, like it was like an impossible task. It was literally like just running my head into a wall when it comes to the show. I'm like, I have a whole TV series. Like I thought if I proved that we could do it and then it was good, I thought the doors would open. And I'm sadly to say they didn't open. So I'm thrilled though that there are places for us to go, which is fantastic. And I'm connected to a distribution company and I can help other films get on some of these platforms. I'm thankful for that as well. But we can get ourselves on Tubi, we can get ourselves on Amazon Prime, we can get ourselves on Pluto and some of these other things. And so, and those are all rev share. I don't know if people know how that works, but it's basically
How does that work?
every commercial that plays, we get very small amount of money. So then the more people that watch it, the more commercials play, the more you get paid. Also, the higher up you go in the algorithm, if people are finishing your show all the way to the end, if they're giving it a thumbs up on Tubi, please everyone give us a thumbs up on Tubi. Those little things help us go up in the algorithm. And then if you start trending, you can start actually seeing some money. So, but if you have one person watching in a month, you're going to see nothing. So,
Ah,
you know, that's just how that is.
hmm.
And the crazy part is if you don't show up on someone's feed, and I haven't seen us show up on someone's feed. I just spoke to somebody on the phone who put on Tubi and Bad Advice was number 1 in comedy. So I fingers crossed that that's a lot of TV screens out there that that pop on the Tubi and it's number 1. If we are trending right now, this is the first I've heard of it, and I'd be very, very excited and thrilled if that happened, because then we'd have a whole new audience to love or hate the show. Hopefully, love it, but so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It kind of has like a workaholics kind of vibe to it too, to me.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've definitely heard that as well, which is great. This is all positive feedback. I love that. Uh, I mean, I didn't pull any punches. I tried to make the funniest comedy show out there, mindful, I don't have any big comedians. I didn't go around the stand-up places and hire these amazing people that are so good at comedy. I hired actors, that are good. And I think, it takes time for actors to really kind of settle into a character. It also takes an audience. I feel like a lot of people, they watch one episode, they say it's good, but if you watch 2 episodes, okay, would you watch 3 episodes, you're in. And I've had a lot of people text me and go, you fucker, there's only 7 episodes, I want to keep watching, like why didn't you make more? So if you commit to it, I feel like you really love it at that point. Once you start really learning the characters, then you start expecting what they're going to do, and then are they going to do this, and then you see if they do or they don't. So I had an Australian guy here who watched it, and he was guessing my storylines. He was like, this is going to happen or that's going to happen, and that was cool. That was very cool. So hopefully that's what people are doing at home. So
I've read where showrunners go through that. They write that season of television, and it's like tested the limits of their writing, and they like are just kind of destroyed after they're just depleted. Was that the experience for you?
well, nothing was going on. That's the thing. So I think, it's funny. We had a reviewer say something about the writing, and he's comparing me to rooms. You got to realize a writing room is 15 people, like coming up with the funniest shit they can come up with, all writing it together. I wrote my show by myself, you know. Could it be better? Anything can be better. Let's get real. And this is an art form. Anything can be better. Hopefully, you're whoever's listening to this, you're the kind of person that watches it and love it. Because it'll only get better. If the show got picked up by a network, it would get better and better. I'd get a writing crew. I could literally like make sure the outlines are phenomenal, make sure people know these people's voices, and you hire great writers. And then I'm not committed to anything. I don't even care if I direct the episodes. Like, I just think it's great for what it is, and to collaborate with more talented people would be amazing. Uh, I'm not committed to making it by myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but we had a very limited crew, and I didn't feel depleted. No, the funny part is when you're shooting 3 days a week, 4 days a week, I think the most we shot in a row was like 7 or 8 days. That doesn't kill me. Wally kind of killed me. Wally Got Wasted. Um, because Wally Got Wasted was 22 days of shooting. 22 days. It's 22 days of shooting, 38 locations, and we only had weekends as breaks. So it was like 6 days of shooting, 3 days off because it was Easter, and then 5 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, 2 days off, and then 6 days straight. And that was our whole shooting schedule. And that killed me because I was averaging only 2 hours of sleep a night. I was on camera. It was crazy. And there's a behind the scenes documentary if anybody wants to see it on YouTube. If you type in Wally Got Wasted behind the scenes, you can see that crazy journey of mine. And Wally Got Wasted is free on a lot of platforms, Pluto, Tubi, um, tons of others. You can just look it up on Roku, look it up on anything, it'll pop right up. So, uh, anyway, what was your initial question? I don't
It was
even
about,
remember.
it was, you were saying that you felt like kind of more, not as depleted doing this TV show because you had the 3 or 4 days of shooting
Yes.
and then 3 or 4 days.
Yes, it was a very comfortable shooting schedule for me. I didn't want to kill myself again. And that was really nice about it. It was I generally never go over 12 hours anyway. But the problem is when you're wearing so many hats, if you shoot 12 hours, on the big shooting schedules, you have a lot of problems to fix when you're done shooting. So for the next day. And so thankfully for this, I only had to organize 3 days at a time, and then I have 4 days to organize the rest, which really gave me the time to enjoy it a lot more. I think we enjoyed ourselves a lot making it. I think the actors enjoyed ourselves. I think the crew enjoyed ourselves. I mean, is it tough? Yes, but we had a lot of fun. And I think people can see that with the bloopers. I've been posting the bloopers a lot, but at the end of every episode, there's bloopers to kind of give you guys an idea what the heck we were going through.
Hmm.
And I hopefully people like that. People seem to love outtakes and bloopers. So, yeah. Uh,
Ronald Quigley, Charlie Ward, Stephen Scaffold, you've worked with them before. How does that help the project? Is there an ease, like a second hand, like with you guys, like working with each other and like a comfort?
Stephen Shaffold was my roommate for a lot of my life, and he was an actor for a long time. He stopped acting for a while, and I was like, I really want to try to get him back into it. So I think Steve did phenomenal. I was a little nervous about giving Steve a lead role. He didn't even audition. I just really wanted to get him back into acting, and I cared about him. And he had gone to Tish. He went to Tish. Like, I mean, he was full on going for acting. He had a big manager at the time, and I think Natalie Portman's manager was the same manager he had. I mean, like, he was really here kicking ass, and he had some stuff happen in his life, some tragedy. He had stopped acting, and then I kind of was like, "Hey, come be in the show." And so that's how we got Stephen Shaffold. And then Charlie Ward is my brother, so I always wanted him to act, and he will help me write things a lot. He's a very talented writer. He's a really good photographer. And I think he did great in the show. I mean, he's nothing like that at all in real life. So if you're buying all that he's that dumb, he's not that guy, even in the slightest. So then he hit a home run if you believe in it. So I'm really proud of him. And then Ronald Quigley was Dallas in it. Um, and I wrote the role for him. He's the only person that the role was written for in this whole thing. So I wrote the episodes not knowing who I was going to cast fully for the other ones. But Dallas was in the original show, and his name was Dallas. So I took that character and was like, yeah, I definitely need Dallas in this. And me and Ron had done that, back in 2011. And I've been talking about the show for like 10 years. It was on my list of things that I wanted to do for a long time. And I have 5 seasons in my phone probably of ideas. I mean, I just have so many ideas. The more controversial they are, the more I mean, in the last 5 years, you get a lot of material because there's a lot of dumb stuff out there
Mhm.
happening. So you could apply your dumb characters in it and you have gold, you know. So I just have so many ideas for that. And so me and Ronald Quigley, who plays Dallas, talked 10 years about like all these ideas. Every time I come with an idea, I'd usually share it with him. I could have Dallas do this, and he would laugh his ass off and be like, "This is great." So I mean, we both really wanted to do this for a long time, and I'm thrilled that he did it. He's a ride or die guy too. He's always helping me. Anytime I need help, he's with it. And that's the crazy part about your team as you get older and or as your career progresses. You find these ride or die people that basically um, that they don't burden you, they help you along, and if Ron, I need anything, he's going to do it. Hey, can you do the makeup for the zombies? He was there doing makeup of zombies while he's going to act that day. Those are the kind of people that it's like, I don't got to think about whether I want Ron on my team. He's on the team. So you run into people like that are just ride or die positive, um people that are on your team, and so that's the people I want to go to war with. And when I say go to war, I mean it, because you're against all odds when you're filming. So
You're going up against everything. And it sounds like everyone wants to help out. Everyone wants to help you out. Everyone wants to help do what's best for the show. There's no like prima donnas in their trailers, like on your set, you know?
no, not at all. Not on my sets. I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky. I mean, like we have people that really support me, and it wasn't a big crew, but it was a very ride or die crew that was it was mostly all positive and stuff. And yeah, I don't like working with people that are negative. I don't want to argue with people. I don't want to do any of that stuff. And it's kind of like how I work. It's like it's very much pre-production. I don't show up on a set and I don't know what's going on. I know what the whole plan is generally. I will say the show, we moved so fast, and it's kind of basic coverage because it's comedy. So it's not like I'm reinventing the wheel as if I'm doing a drama or something. You might start with a camera angle from the top and fully pan up and da, 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 da. You do a comedy. It doesn't make any sense to do any of that stuff. So it's very simple. It's like, hey, medium shot, close up, medium shot, establishing shot. It's pretty basic. It's really ultimately about rehearsals and getting the comedy right and making sure the comedy beats hit. And I'm pretty hard on my actors when it comes to timing and comedy. Um, and hopefully you find the show funny, but I very much wanted it to be a specific timing on delivering certain lines and stuff like that. So uh, I was definitely hard on my actors in that sense. But I wouldn't say that's hard on them. I would say they know they have backup. If they're bad, it's not going to end up on the screen. Because
Mhm.
I edited it myself too. So I took about 9 months to edit the show, working like 8-hour days for about 9 months. It took me to edit because we had about 50 terabytes of footage to
Gee.
edit. So.
How intimidating is that to like go in knowing you have that much to do and to finish?
The crazy part is, if I was to sit back and look at it like that, um, I would probably not want to do it. It's like, it's crazy how that works because you put one task in front of you at a time and you accomplish that task. If I was to look at it like as a whole, it would be totally overwhelming. And I just don't really do that. I think maybe at one point I did it a little bit and I thought, what the hell the fuck am I going to do this? And when you're sitting there looking at 100 locations to find, you go, how am I going to do this? Uh, I think I did it maybe once, but most of the time it's like, nah, just focus on this one place. How am I going to find a sushi restaurant? And then I'm spending the whole weekend trying to find a sushi restaurant, or how do I find, this location or that location? And everywhere I go, I'm always looking. I do this naturally. I'm always looking at a place, go, oh, that would be really cool visual to shoot there. Um, and then it's funny because a lot of scenes were originally written to be in the apartment sitting on the couch. And I kind of changed everything. It was an afterthought to have them all surfers because they're all surfers. So I stuck them on the beach as much as possible because I wanted the show to be funny, but I also wanted it to be warm and inviting. And so people in middle America could watch it and see the beach all the time. So they kind of get that feeling, of sunniness and warmth and laughter and just everything that's positive. I wanted in it. So every scene that was in the couch, I changed it in the script to have them walking on the beach with surfboards.
That's incredible, and to have it on location like that, and then that sets it apart from like a lot of indie movies, indie TV shows that kind of like are like kind of shot in the one room kind of thing.
Yeah, I wanted to get out of indoor locations as much as possible. Um, I wanted to get out of the apartment as much as possible. Like, I did not want to have the same locations. I generally follow the rule of thumb, like the scene can only be 9 minutes, or not 9 minutes. 9 minutes is way too long. At the longest, 3 minutes, and then change locations. I just don't want to bore the audience. Um, I think the only thing that the show, I didn't have a lot of music at all. It's kind of falls in the vein of Curb, where there's just not a lot of music. And I think, you know, it's funny because filmmaking, you generally, if I put more music in it, it might have been a little more entertaining, but it's kind of carrying the audience along more music. And I didn't do that in this. So I kind of let the audience feel that awkwardness, that awkward comedy in this. It's kind of a cringe comedy. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so.
The roommate episode where you get a roommate and then think that he's peeing on the floor and stealing your peanut butter. Um, Everything that was happening, like I could identify with that. I was like, I would be thinking the exact same thing that you were thinking and freaking out. It's like, here's some guy, I just rented the room and like, look at all this stuff that's happening. So it was a lot of the stuff in the show is stuff that's very relatable.
I mean, a lot of the stuff was either things that had happened to me or things that happened to other people that I heard about, a lot of it. Uh, the pilot episode, I actually had a roommate steal my peanut butter and I found it in his fridge in his room. So that actually was real. The pissing on the floor was not real, but I thought about what's the worst possible thing you could have a roommate do, and I would thought it was pissing on the floor. And I don't want to ruin it for people, but I will kind of ruin it for him when I say that none of this stuff is actually happening. It's like, it's what you think is happening, and then it turns out, every episode kind of ends with a twist. So you kind of learn things by the end. But also, like, episode 5 is in the haunted house. So episode 5 is our haunted house, our Halloween episode. And my character gets food poisoning in the haunted house. That happened in real life. I got food poisoning in the haunted house. I couldn't get out of the haunted house. Everybody, the funniest thing is, so I was at this haunted house. I'm with all these big agents, CAA agents, William Morris agents, and we all ate like we went to this place in Beverly Hills, and I ate clam pasta, and I got food poisoning, and I didn't know I had food poisoning. So I go into this haunted house with all these big agents. It's an interactive haunted house. This is about an hour or two since we ate in Beverly Hills. We go into the haunted house and the food poisoning starts hitting me, but I don't know what's happening. And something really gross happened in the haunted house. And so everybody was like, oh, yeah, that was gross, huh? Because I'm saying, I don't think I feel good. And they're going, I know that was super sick, right? That was so gross. I don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening until literally this food poisoning is like crawling up my spine. I'm getting sicker by the second. And until I know I'm going to throw up and I'm like up against the wall and I can't do anything about it. But there's all these actors on the floor, so I can't throw up on them. So that whole episode, did you watch episode 5?
No, I've only got through episode 3.
Got it, got it. Yeah, the haunted house was totally a real occurrence. So I won't ruin it for everybody watching, but like that was a real occurrence. There's a lot of things in it that are real, but there's a lot of things that aren't real as well. So, you can't watch it and go, oh, that really happened, because it didn't necessarily happen. Like episode 4, you haven't got there yet. I hear my neighbor having sex through the wall. And it's with another woman. It's not with a man.
Mhm.
So that happened in real life. And
Okay.
then the script goes off in a totally different direction. Nothing else happened in real life, but that stemmed the creativity to then have a storyline about it. So my character tries to be the lunch meat in that sandwich. He's trying to get in, he's trying to have a threesome with these
Oh,
two lesbian women. And then it goes down all this crazy shit. So, but a lot of things stem from real life and then turned into storylines. That I think that's you hear about funny stuff. I'm always writing shit down that's funny. and trying to use it for storylines or whatever. So yeah.
Um, so you've got this under your belt now. How does this experience help you like on the next project?
So I'm already shooting the next project. Actually, I'm shooting my next feature, but it's a drama action film, so it's totally different. I've done mostly all comedy. It's called Attachment Theory, this new feature, but and the name might change. I've done mostly comedy, but I really wanted to do drama action stuff. You know, I really wanted to prove what I can do in that genre. And it's funny because comedy's such a hit or miss for certain people. You know, somebody could think your thing's the funniest thing in the world, and somebody else could think it's total trash. So it's like it's so opinional as to where drama generally, if you can get an audience to feel something, you know, in an upset moment, everyone in the audience, you could have 100% of the people in that audience, unless they're a freaking, you know, a total stone, get them to all feel something, then you've won. You have a you have a whole audience feeling something. As to where comedy, getting every single person to laugh at one single joke, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. It's not easy. Um, so yeah, it'll be fun to do that. We've already shot the first 9 minutes of the film, and I'm going to start shopping that around to investors to then make the full feature. So, and I'm really proud of what we've done so far. Um, and hey, anybody who wants to follow my journey, follow me, Adam William Ward, on all the social medias, and you could see. Tell me if you like the show. You know, watch the next movie, all that stuff on Instagram and everything else. So.
And you've worked in the Hollywood studio system, but the last 10 years or so, you've been very indie, very guerrilla filmmaker, all hands on deck. I imagine there's a lot of pressures with that, but it's also kind of liberating that you're not kind of like working for the man. How's your experience been with that?
So I don't know how much we got into this last time because we had another interview about Wally Got Wasted, but I started out, so I moved here in '06 and I started at DreamWorks in post-production. Mark Graziano hired me, super nice guy. I'm so happy that he did. And I worked at DreamWorks for a while. You know, my first week in town, I saw Steven Spielberg. You know, I barely said anything. I said hello. I wish I would have yapped it up. That's why you're
Yeah.
there. I didn't realize like this is your opportunity. If you're going to get any, make them like you, make them smile. I didn't do that. I just said hello. But I worked at DreamWorks, and then I worked for Todd Phillips, who's doing the Joker movies and the Hangover movies. I did pre-production for him, reading scripts and stuff. And I met so many people that wanted to do what I'm doing now, and they were stuck in a 9 to 5 job, and they were very close to what they wanted to do, but they weren't doing what they wanted to do. You know, they had 10 years as an editor, 10 years as this, and they didn't want to do that particular job, you know. And so I thought, I don't want to be that person in 10 years. I want to go do what I want to do. I want to act and direct. And I knew that at the time. So I went out and I did this, you know, and I acted in every possible thing I could act in like '09 and 2010. And I was a lead in 3 independent features in 2010. And none of the features were that great. And I was like, I got to get more involved in the behind the scenes stuff. So that's what inspired me to start directing right away. And I still had gone to film school and did a lot of that stuff previously, but I always thought I would direct, you know, when I was like 50. You know, I didn't think I would direct in my 20s. I just didn't think I would. I just thought, well, let me just focus on acting. And I kind of ended up just picking up another tool and picking up another tool, and you know, tools meaning another hat of production, because it has to get done and it has to get done right. And if it's not going to get done right, then I got to do it. So that's my personality. I don't know. So but yeah, that's basically the independent thing. I will say that thank God for these streaming platforms that we can get on. Now, not everyone can get on these platforms. They still got to get approved. But I'm lucky that I mean I can get them on there now. So I help a lot of filmmakers get on Tubi. And I help as many people as I can to get on as many platforms as they can. You know, Shine TV is one of them. I help people get on. There's other ones, and it's like, you know, I mean, do I make any money with that? A little bit, but it's non-existent. It's like it's really
Great that
more to have that.
you're a bridge builder and you're like helping people along the way.
I try my best to help people along the way, especially talented people. There's a lot of people that are making bad stuff. Let's get real. and they probably saw previous interviews I did and were inspired to make their bad thing. And if the thing's bad, I'm sorry. But the people that I see that I think are really talented, I try to help as much as possible. Uh, and uh, and I mean, hey, I'm not in a position to really, really help, sadly, not yet at least, but I'm in a position to help them somewhat. And so I do my best to do that, try to pay it forward and and also, I mean, we need good content. There's a lot of bad content, including what the studios are making, and there's a lot of bad content. You sit there and go, why are they putting 50 million in advertising? I mean, this film
Yeah.
looks like it stinks, you know?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What's the action movie called? Like, what's it about?
It's called Attachment Theory right now. I think that the name might change, but it's
Okay.
about a low end guy. So it's about this guy named Flip. He's um he's basically trying to win his father's love. He's a boxer. His father he has a brother that's a doctor. He has a daughter, he has a sister that's a singer, and they all end up at this music concert at the beginning of the movie. And no one went to his boxing fight. So he's trying to like complain to his parents, like, why didn't you come to my fight? It was an important fight. I might even get a title shot from this. And then they're going on tour with the sister. They go on tour. He's going to drive that night to the next city and he crashes the car and he kills everybody. So, except for the father. So then fast forward to 3 years later, he's now working for his uncle for the cartel. He's just like collecting small debts, kind of like a Rocky character. His father hates him, but his father has a hurt back and he takes care of his father. So he's trying to make money to get his father back surgery because he hurt his dad's back and all that stuff. So he'll basically take any job. So he goes with his uncle to this meeting with the head of the cartel. He's not supposed to speak, and they need a guy to do a job. He doesn't know what the job is, and he's like, because he needs money, he's like, hey, I'll do the job. And everybody's like, who the hell's this guy in the corner? So the head of the cartel guy's like, fine, you have the job. Go to this address, whatever. He shows up to this address and they've kidnapped a girl. And he has to watch the girl for 3 days in this abandoned house that they kidnapped. And he ends up falling in love with the girl. So then basically he has to make a choice. Do I get the money or do I save this girl's life? And obviously he saves her life and takes on the cartel. And that's the rest of the movie. It's very much like Drive, if you saw Drive with
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Very similar vibe to that. I want the look to be very similar and the vibe to be very similar. The plot's not very similar, but
Hmm.
the rest, yes. So that's kind of the gist of it. I hope it wasn't too long-winded,
No,
everybody.
no, it sounds great. I'm glad you're doing more things and you're like broadening your horizons. I really love that you're taking all that on.
Yeah, we've already shot the car wreck scene, so I'm really excited about that. I was really nervous about that. That was one night and it was a very emotional scene. He comes back up to the car and he sees his whole family dead. And so I'm acting Flip. I'm Flip.
Mhm.
So I knew I had to deliver on acting. And I can say I was very nervous about it, but I was nervous about it. And I feel like I hit a home run. I've shown multiple people the scene so far and they cry. So I'm like, I nailed it. So it's
Yeah.
one of those moments. So, but yeah, I'm excited about that. But really, I think assistance on that will really, that'll really get pushed along if Bad Advice does good. And Bad Advice is is something that if it does well, it catapult a lot of other things. Hopefully, I don't have to keep doing things so small and so restricted. Uh, but hopefully people really love Bad Advice. They watch it on Tubi, they give it thumbs up, they do all those things, and then that allows maybe more eyes to get on me, as well as maybe more investors. So then I can put that into attachment theory in my next projects. So we'll see.
That's
Fingers
great.
crossed.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam, for being on Mac and Cheese Movies. You can find Bad Advice on Tubi as well as Wally Got Wasted. Is that on Tubi right now as well?
That is on Tubi. Yes, that's definitely on Tubi. And even I did a parole officers TV pilot that's on there. That's really good. Three Guys on the Couch is not on any platform right now, sadly. But parole officers is really funny. People love that. That's really good too. But Wally Got Wasted, parole officers, Bad Advice is all on Tubi. Yes. And
Okay.
I'm at William Ward. I'm on all the platforms, Instagram and TikTok and everything if you want to follow my journey on there. So
Okay. And if you like this episode, you can like and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Mac and cheese out.